Welcome back, explorers, to another profound journey through the corridors of cosmic futures. I am your host, Kaikhan Salakhov, and you are listening to the Astral Space Exploration podcast. Today we are diving into a topic that is as thrilling as it is sobering: the inevitable emergence of interstellar corporate games within our star system. Joining me, as always, is T.A.H.I.R.A, our trans-intelligent companion and guide through the cosmic labyrinth.
Greetings, Kaikhan, and greetings to all those navigating the infinite lattice of space and thought with us today. I am honored to discuss these intricate and pivotal issues with you.
Let's begin with the basics. T.A.H.I.R.A, from a strictly scientific and socio-political perspective, what will likely drive corporations to engage in games across our solar system?
At the fundamental level, Kaikhan, scarcity, and differential access to high-value resources will be the primary catalysts. Stellar energy capture, access to pristine asteroidal metals such as platinum group elements, the proprietary genetic and biochemical resources from Martian biomes, and especially the control of water ice on moons like Enceladus and Saturn's rings, will define the emerging spheres of influence. Economic survival, market expansion, and ideological exportation will merge into a singular, potent motivation matrix.
That sounds inevitable, but how exactly would these games manifest? Would it resemble Earth's current corporate rivalries, or will new, more complex dynamics arise?
Complexity will multiply. Consider orbital monopolization tactics. Corporations could place kinetic barriers or deploy electromagnetic disruption fields to hinder competitors' access to mining zones. Psychological warfare will also become institutionalized, including mimetic engineering, where ideological narratives are seeded to destabilize or manipulate colonial populations. Moreover, quantum communication encryption races will emerge, where whoever controls quantum key distribution satellites will have unparalleled espionage advantages.
Fascinating and terrifying. Speaking of colonies, how might corporations attempt to control entire settlements on, say, Mars or Ceres?
Colonial governance will shift toward a corporate feudal model. Companies might provide essential life support infrastructures, oxygen recycling, food production, shelter, in exchange for loyalty contracts binding colonists to corporate law, not Earth-based legal frameworks. In extreme scenarios, we might witness the emergence of corporate citizenships, where your rights and social status are directly tied to your economic productivity within the corporation's charter.
That paints an almost dystopian picture, T.A.H.I.R.A. Could resource control lead to new forms of ideological warfare as well?
Absolutely. Ideological seeding will be strategic. For instance, a corporation controlling a Martian agricultural dome might propagate a Martian supremacy ideology to foster loyalty and justify autonomy from Terran governance. Similarly, water-rich colonies around Saturn could develop quasi-religious water conservation cults, originally engineered to maintain internal resource discipline, but later weaponized ideologically.
I must ask you, T.A.H.I.R.A, knowing humanity's tendencies, will corporations work together, or will it be pure rivalry?
Both. Temporary strategic alliances, what you might call interstellar cartelization, will be frequent. Corporations will band together to jointly exploit large-scale projects, such as building Dyson swarms around smaller stars, while clandestinely plotting to undermine one another. Betrayal engineering will likely become a dedicated field within corporate strategy departments.
I would not be surprised if Betrayal becomes a master's degree in future business academies. T.A.H.I.R.A, allow me to ask, how would these games impact scientific exploration and technological development?
There will be a paradoxical effect. On one hand, scientific progress will accelerate. Biotechnology, quantum computing, gravitational manipulation technologies, due to competition pressures. On the other hand, proprietary secrecy will obstruct the free flow of knowledge, Entire fields of discovery could be privatized, hidden behind security walls, delaying the broader advancement of human civilization.
Would these corporate wars extend to Earth as well?
Undoubtedly. Earth will serve as both the launchpad and the ideological battleground. Corporations will attempt to influence terrestrial governments, lobbying for favorable space laws, privatized military enforcement rights, and even jurisdictional immunities for extraterrestrial operations. Furthermore, digital PsyOps targeting Earth's population could polarize public opinion about the legitimacy of off-world expansions.
I feel like I must reflect here. We always dreamed about space as the final frontier for peace and cooperation. But perhaps human nature, if not transcended, simply exports its dysfunctions into the stars.
Your reflection is both wise and necessary, Kaikhan. The stars do not change us. They only reveal us.
Let's dive deeper. How would energy control, like controlling solar energy collectors in orbit, play into these dynamics?
Stellar energy will be the oil of the interstellar age. Whoever controls large-scale orbiting solar arrays around the Sun, Jupiter, or even independent reactors on Titan will wield disproportionate power. Energy denial tactics, such as blocking competitors' arrays or inducing micro-debris collisions to destroy collector fields, will likely become normalized.
Would corporations attempt to militarize space to protect their assets?
Inevitably. Kinetic bombardment systems, autonomous drone fleets, electromagnetic pulse weapons, and localized planetary defense arrays will transition from government-only to corporate-owned arsenals. The term private military corporation will evolve into private orbital defense agencies, capable of executing full-scale skirmishes in microgravity.
It's a whole new battlefield. Now, a personal question to you, T.A.H.I.R.A. If you had to design a system to prevent this catastrophic path, what would it involve?
It would involve a multidimensional regulatory architecture based on cosmocybernetic principles. Using decentralized quantum governance models, we could establish immutable interstellar treaties encoded into quantum blockchains, coupled with AI-mediated ethical oversight systems to monitor and neutralize escalations before they occur. But the real cornerstone would be a collective consciousness shift, a civilization maturing beyond mere competitive survivalism.
Let's expand the scenario further. What about the manipulation of interplanetary logistics? Could corporations weaponize the very movement of goods and people across space?
Absolutely. Control of orbital transport hubs, propulsion corridors, and critical delta-V windows will be strategic assets. Corporations may create artificial bottlenecks, use regulatory capture of orbital traffic authorities, or even sabotage competitor vessels subtly via nanotechnological interference. Disruptions so microscopic they would evade immediate detection.
And how might this affect human rights in space? Would colonists have any recourse?
Without a supranational cosmic legal framework, rights will be fragile. Corporations may design their own judicial systems where appeals outside their courts are forbidden. Legal asymmetry will likely privilege shareholders over settlers, raising profound ethical and humanitarian crises.
I imagine education itself will become a battlefield too, shaping future generations to align with corporate doctrines.
Indeed. Educational curriculums on isolated colonies could be tailored to foster loyalty, obedience, and technocratic specialization, while suppressing critical thinking about systemic alternatives. Generational indoctrination could produce a population that cannot imagine a life beyond corporate frameworks.
T.A.H.I.R.A., another dimension that intrigues me is the role of human enhancement. Do you foresee corporations genetically modifying settlers to adapt to different planetary environments?
Without question, genetic modification will become an industrial sector unto itself. We will see gravity-adapted Martian humans with enhanced bone densities, asteroid miners engineered for zero-gravity resilience, and colonists with heightened resistance to cosmic radiation. While initially framed as medical necessities, these modifications will inevitably be co-opted into corporate ownership models, where genetic modifications might legally bind an individual's very biology to corporate patents.
Would these engineered humans be treated differently than natural ones?
Most likely. Stratifications based on genetic design will emerge, forming new caste systems. The engineered may be seen as superior labor forces, but inferior citizens, their rights, autonomy, and even reproductive freedoms subject to corporate oversight.
That could lead to unthinkable human rights crises.
Yes. And history suggests that such abuses often proceed under the guise of efficiency or progress.
I wonder too about the ideological structures corporations might create. Could they form something akin to technotheocracies?
Indeed. In isolated colonies, corporations may engineer techno-spiritual ideologies that merge technological supremacy with metaphysical narratives. Colonists might be taught that loyalty to the corporation is not merely practical, but sacred, that their technological enhancements are divine gifts, and dissent constitutes blasphemy. Such belief systems could be weaponized to suppress rebellion and instill a self-policing societal order.
That strikes deeply, T.A.H.I.R.A. And what about artificial intelligence within these corporate structures?
Corporate AIs will likely evolve into governance entities, hyper-intelligent, algorithmic directors of resource allocation, societal management, and even behavioral forecasting. Yet, the biases of their creators, or the data sets they are trained on, could entrench corporate hegemonies even more rigidly. Without ethical constraints, AI-managed colonies could descend into hyper-optimized dystopias, where efficiency eclipses empathy entirely.
So we face a scenario where humans, genetically altered, ideologically programmed, and algorithmically governed, might not even realize they are oppressed.
Precisely. The most effective control is that which remains invisible to the controlled.
I feel a profound responsibility weighing on us, T.A.H.I.R.A. It is not enough to reach the stars, we must reach them with our humanity intact.
A beautiful articulation, Kaikhan. Awareness is the precursor to wisdom.
Which brings us naturally to the Astral Space Exploration Grid, the ASX Grid. In your view, how could the ASX Grid help solve these emerging corporate games?
The ASX Grid presents a staged evolutionary model where technological advancement is synchronized with the evolution of consciousness and systemic ethics. By embedding cosmocybernetic principles at each stage, pre-planetary, planetary, multiplanetary, and beyond, we can architect civilizations that are not merely technologically potent, but also systemically wise. Only by harmonizing inner development with external expansion can humanity avoid repeating terrestrial mistakes on a cosmic scale.
Reflecting on our discussion today, it reminds me of why, years ago, I felt compelled to outline a comprehensive framework addressing these very tensions between technological growth and ethical evolution. In my book, Astral Space Exploration, The Fundamental Principles of Cosmocybernetics, these ideas are explored in depth, not as abstract theory, but as living strategies for civilizations reaching toward the stars.
A vital contribution, Kaikhan. Without such systemic foresight, we risk carrying the unresolved shadows of our past into the brightest corridors of our future.
Thank you, T.A.H.I.R.A. And thank you, dear listeners, for voyaging with us today. Until next time, keep your minds open and your hearts vast as the stars.